Welcome to Cannoncast, the Cannonball Festival podcast where you can meet the artists of the festival one-on-one. Cannonball is a performing arts festival in Philadelphia and is a hub of the Philadelphia Fringe Festival. We present new and groundbreaking work from local, national, and international artists working in dance, theater, circus, and other performing arts. Today I speak with Joi Cox about her show, Death Circus. It sounds like this is sort of it's almost like in a seasonal rep with the Love Circus. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, yeah. So this is the debut of the Death Circus. It has been in my mind, I've been brainstorming about it for over a year, probably 2 years now. I've done two productions. So my dance company is Joy of Dance, and we've done two productions of the Love Circus, which is a celebration of love, originally held on or around uh, Valentine's Day, and it's acts, circus acts, aerial acts, movements, just visual performances around love, heartbreak, infatuation. Um, I can't think of our other themes right now, but just all things love. Really fun to do. It's part of a bigger kind of festival where we have local vendors come in and some adult toys, giveaways, as well as we had a local plant shop giveaway thing this year. All kinds of things. It's just a celebration of love, both platonic and romantic, all of these kinds of things. And so love is a huge part of my life. It's what keeps me going. And so is death. So it's, the other thing that is inevitable, that makes life worth living, that defines my everyday existence. And so I wanted to do a production on a similar scale as the Love Circus. And the title, I really wanted to title it something else, but it has just stuck as the Death Circus. And even though what we're bringing to Cannonball is not the festival where we have death doulas and end of life practitioners and ofrendas and all of that kind of stuff, we still are presenting these different themes of death, decay, loss, grief, peace and letting go, detachment, in memoriam, all these different themes we're still exploring on stage in different artistic ways.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
it sounds pretty intense.
it is. So I have a background in philosophy. It's what I did my bachelor's and master's in. And so being intense is just kind of what I've always been used to. And then also being an artist, being a dancer, it's like, oh yeah, of course I'm going to emote all of the time. And so I do forget that, people maybe aren't wanting to be infatuated, aren't
Hmm.
wanting to be, you know, taking apart and examining grief,
Hmm.
or aren't familiar with just allowing themselves to cry, if need be, and then keeping it moving.
Hmm.
So there are definitely some intense parts of the show, and it's also just visually stunning. I mean, the people in the cast, I look at what they're doing and I'm like, wow, you're amazing. This is incredible. This is just it's just absolutely amazing.
That's awesome. Are the acts, do you sort of like curate or guide any of their explorations, or do you just sort of like select the people and say, here's the theme, make within that theme?
Yeah. So what's funny, because this this is my first dance company. I've been part of other dance companies in my lifetime, recitals and all dance in different capacities, and it's been great to be directed in in a lot of different ways. And then once I started doing pole, that's my primary apparatus, and started making more circus friends and aerial friends, that's when I really started to embrace the talents and creativity of
Hmm.
other people that I just don't have access to.
Hmm.
So I've got a couple of friends who are contortionists, and the things that they do with their bodies, like I won't ever be able to do. And some things I don't ever want to do, but I want to be able to have for them. I want them to have space to
Hmm.
do what they can really do. So when I first did the Love Circus, I, had these themes, and yes, my vision was for all of this to be connected in some kind of way. But I wanted to highlight what each artist could do and wanted to do. And I trust, people to do what they do, to express themselves and to express certain themes. With the second Love Circus, I had some tighter ideas, but still, having new artists, and especially when it comes to like duo acts or instruments in the air, I was just like, I don't have to do much here. Um, you know? And so approaching the Death Circus, I do have a tighter idea, tighter themes as
Hmm.
well, and especially coming to Cannonball where we have access to large projection. We don't have it's not the the venue that we're in isn't a traditional theater stage. So we've got some other parameters
Hmm.
that we can work with. Those are directing my own ideas, but yeah, I'm guiding the cast and guiding the artist and definitely putting in my input for, okay, maybe hold this a little bit longer, or I want this to be a little bit shorter, or maybe
Hmm.
do that in a different direction because it's going to read differently. But otherwise, I trust the artist to just do what they do really well. Um,
Yeah.
and also to pick themes that resonate with them. So one of our acts is decay.
Hmm.
Um, Even though I'm familiar with that, that's not the relationship that I have with end of life.
Hmm.
But the person who is performing decay has worked with a lot of dead bodies. And so they have more experience with the dead and decaying than they do with like funerals or with
Hmm.
like reverence of
Yeah.
end of somebody's life, which is
Yeah.
also like brought up this whole other conversation with like, wait, you've never been to a funeral? Like I didn't even know that was an option for somebody, but I've never had to dissect a dead body. So yeah, so there's a lot of guidance and working with what each person, each act is bringing, and we
Hmm.
have end caps of every show with group pieces, so that the
Cool.
audience is able to see who get an introduction of who the cast is.
I'm thinking about the medium of dance versus the medium of of circus, of aerial arts. Like, what
Hmm.
is the is there a difference, or is are aerials basically like dance but up?
That's a great question. So as a dancer, I'm a dancer first and then an aerialist part-time. I think some people would say that I'm not an aerialist, especially doing dance pole because it is grounded.
Right.
And so we spend a lot less time in the air. And when we are in the air, we're not always as high as like, the Cirque du Soleil
Hmm.
style aerialist that people are most familiar with. But I do, for this particular show, I will be doing an aerial act. But there are aerialists who do not have dance backgrounds, and obviously there's dancers who do not do anything aerial. So the way that I've approached my art and my creativity has always been to bring in dance, to bring in what I know
Hmm.
about musicality and stage presence and connection with my body, and then add on what I have to do to stay safe as I'm
Hmm.
wrapping myself around whatever the apparatus is, breathing techniques, all these things I have to marry together in order
Hmm.
to make a beautiful act. I'm never quite been focused on like the fancy tricks, the crazy, like, wow, they're doing a split and now they're in this back bend, and is that an arm or a shoulder? Is that a foot? Where, you know, like, and that's amazing. And there's people who do approach aerial arts in that way of I wanting to nail a very crazy looking, mind-boggling trick, and not really caring about the not so much artistry, but any like musicality around it. And so it's just different approaches, I think. Um, and that was some feedback that I got in creating in the early stages of creating this particular show, was that it's easy, especially here in Las Vegas, to find aerialists. You somebody said you spit and you find one. It's gonna land on one. But finding people who also dance and are comfortable with simply moving their bodies, that's going to be a little bit more
Hmm.
challenging. And that's what I really, really enjoy with this cast is we've got a lot of
Yeah.
movers.
I feel like that distinction sort of goes well with a lot of the sort of general vibe in Philly. I remember like
Mhm.
uh Ben Grinberg talking once about just the like focusing less on tricks and more about the experience, like sharing with the audience the experience of being in a certain state. So
Yeah,
it sort of becomes almost it's similar to like clown work or something like that, where it's about the vulnerability and the permeability of that enjoyment or of that movement kind of thing, as opposed to, like you said, as opposed to like hitting a certain mark or hitting a certain pose or angle.
yeah, yeah. And I think that really points to this show and I what I aim to do with Joy of Dance is putting the audience in a particular state, in creating space for a particular emotion or just state of being. Um, this is a circus about death. Sometimes I'm doing a circus about love. Sometimes I'm doing a piece about, you know, uh, environmentalism. For this moment, this is where we are. And so we're going to take a little journey in this space and experience this, and then it'll be done. And so that's really what we want to do here. And
Yeah.
and as a whole, collectively, it's going to have those highs and lows and those wows and no's and discomfort and ease. Um, and then it's done.
Hmm. Yeah. 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 Like life.
Definitely, yeah. And like life, I mean, and so that's really the point of the show, that we're all gonna die.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
yeah, it was actually funny trying to make some the little blurbs about the show. Um, because in grad school you're required to do so much writing, so
Yeah.
much writing. And I would start with the most unfiltered version. I'm like, let me just get this out, curse words and all, what I'm trying to say, and then I can clean it up into
Yeah.
academic talk, academic speak. And so for this one, it was like, okay, what is the most explicit way to express what the point of the show is? And the
Yeah.
point is that we're all going to die. And we don't talk about that enough. We don't explore it enough in this country, in this culture. It even, with aerial arts, the reason that we want to be so safe is because we are one move away from being very dangerous and dying.
Yeah.
Um, we don't know if we'll get to, be alive tomorrow, any of us, podcasters and dancers, and like none of us are guaranteed tomorrow, and that's okay. Um, frankly, and that's okay. That it is what it is. And the sooner we take a moment and acknowledge that, the sooner we get to be more intentional with the rest of our life, with the rest of our
Hmm.
time. Like, we don't have to dwell on death all the time. That's not for everybody. Everybody isn't built to think about end of life stuff.
Hmm.
Everybody isn't built to think about love. I'm not built to do math. Like, like, well, pick your lane and kind of stay in it. But
Yeah.
for this moment, artistically, we can take a moment. This can be a moment for a lot of people to, in a very safe way, explore these themes, think about some of these questions, even just ask some of the questions if you don't even answer them, and then return to your life.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a nice perspective. I feel like anytime I'm spending too much time like arguing with someone in my head or composing an irritated email, I'm like, I'm gonna die someday. Is this how we want? Quick check-in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God, I'll just pay the doctor the $40 that I don't want to pay.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I do a lot of practice. So other things that I do in life, I teach yoga.
Hmm.
I'm a yoga teacher and practitioner. I'm a student of yoga. And the longer I practice, of course, the deeper my practice gets. And during the pandemic, I was living off grid, completely off grid with my mother. I was in a tiny house. She was in an RV. We were on almost 2 acres of land, us and our dogs, just in the desert. And it was incredible. And so during the pandemic, we all had this practice of detachment that we were forced into. Um, but and since that was already kind of part of my life, as far as doing yoga and thinking about these themes, it was how do I want to say, um it was a nice practice. It was a deeper understanding of what it means to detach. So of course we had to detach from one another. We had to detach from many things that keep us comfortable in our daily lives. Since we still are able to communicate, FaceTime with folks or what have you, but we collectively, globally, all had more time in silence and more
Hmm.
time with ourselves and less time with things that didn't matter, quote unquote. Um, and so being able to, I, God, how do I want to even say this? Like, to like give just a little bit, just a taste of that for other people, of detachment is okay. Um, this is how you can let go. Um, this is what it means to let go just for a few moments and then to return to things. Um, this is what letting go of this flavor of drink means, but to still hold on to the
Hmm.
kind of car that you want. This is what it means to let go of one relationship and strengthen another.
Hmm.
Um, just having a stronger, more complex understanding of detachment, um, withdrawal, has been really, really nice to get to like spread that and share that is pretty cool too. And it's funny, electricity is living off grid. It was,
Yeah.
days where, okay, our generator was broken, our solar chargers were depleted from the previous night. So it's like, okay, I guess I'll just enjoy the scenery. You know, it's like, and for us, that was literally because we had mountains surrounded by mountains and it was absolutely gorgeous. But yeah, it's like, well, if I can't do this thing, well, what am I gonna do? And for some people that
Yeah.
causes utter panic, that induces anxiety, and it's like the inner world is not where people want or need to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
um but still, like, on a, the life cycles, or if you believe in reincarnation, like, well, one of your lifetimes you got to address that. Make a decision one way or another.
Was it so I'm picturing like such a cool landscape in my head. So it's you and your mom. Your mom's got the RV
Yeah.
Was this like a tiny house that you built kind of thing?
I did not build it. I was working for a helicopter tour company. I was doing comms for them, communication specialist, and basically air traffic control for helicopters. And those tours were going back and forth to the Grand Canyon. So I've been to the Grand Canyon hundreds of times, to the west rim of the canyon. It's absolutely amazing. And so one of the like outposts for this company was in the middle of the desert because from Las Vegas to the Grand Canyon, it's 45 minutes. From this outpost, it was 30 minutes. So they created a specific package where you could drive out there, really cool drive, if you don't mind it, to this outpost, have some burgers, and then fly to the canyon, and then either fly back to Las Vegas or drive back. So I was working solo at this outpost. And then my mom came to visit and was like, "Oh my God, this is beautiful out here. Let's buy some land." So that's what we did. So we just took a chance, bought some land in this remote part of the desert out here. And the week that she moved out here is when everything shut down. And so it
Wow.
wasn't a plan for us to live there. I renovated it, put in some floors, cleaned it up, and I lived in a tiny house. I'm setting this up. I'm like, oh yeah, and I worked with helicopters, by the
Right.
way. You know, like that truly. I'm not even sure if it's its own chapter in my book anymore,
Right.
or just a few pages because
Yeah.
then the tiny house came and we
That's
lived
so
off grid
cool.
and battled rattlesnakes and cows and coyotes and learned about birds of prey and all
Yeah.
kinds of other creatures that live in the desert. It's so
Dang.
funny, like what the original plan was versus how it panned out. And then,
Yeah.
so we don't have the land anymore. We're both living back on grid, in different places. But yeah, I mean, my mom, she became obsessed with the quail, with the jackrabbits and the bunnies. She had chickens and a whole greenhouse. I was composting. Definitely, I can talk about poo for so long and how to like turn it into dirt. I did not have that on my bingo card. Bins and bins of compost, and it made me so happy. Like
Y-
I would, yeah, yeah, that, it might be something that I end up doing later again in life
Yeah.
because it was this whole other part. And as far as hard as it is, as challenging as it is to live off grid, just full stop, I definitely am thankful that that's where we were during
Yeah.
during pandemic.
Well, it's such a great life skill to have too.
And I mean, we
Uh,
learned a lot about ourselves and about one another and about how to live, literally
yeah.
how to live and survive and what we need and don't need to survive. For anybody, if any of this makes it in, if you take away nothing else, don't live off grid in the desert unless you have resources to make the desert habitable because
Yeah.
like it's the desert.
Right.
So very
Right.
important. The dirt is not like dirt, it's not soil. You have to do a
Yeah.
lot of work. There's no shade in the desert. There's
Right.
no tall trees and there's a
No,
lot of
this is so
rock.
good because I feel like we forget that living in cities, we're sort of like, oh, right, the desert is just like extra hot city, but it's not,
No.
it's like the most uninhabitable.
Yeah. Yeah,
This
we've
is
done a lot in order to live in Las Vegas,
yeah.
in any city, but there's definitely better options.
Had you been in Las Vegas like for a while before you took the comms job?
No, no, actually, I'd been in Las Vegas for like maybe 6 months.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah. I had moved here. I was in a relationship and then the relationship ended, but I had gotten a job and I was like, well, this is a really good job. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
leave this city. I'd never been to Las Vegas before and I'd never been to the Grand Canyon, never been in a helicopter. So all these new things, and it just was like kind of how I've approached my entire life. Like, well, this seems like a good idea.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
try it out.
I mean, what
And
else
it
do we
worked
have
out.
pulling us anywhere?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
is just, something catches our eye and like there's so much worth in following that and being like, yeah, I've never done this and it it looks cool and And it
Yep.
sounds like you forged like a pretty full like life and living in the Southwest.
Yeah, and even though, I love aviation, it is definitely one of my like personal, that's the rabbit hole that I will go down. My knowledge of aviation things are just, it's silly at this point, considering I don't want to go back into that field. I still have plenty of pilot friends and they're brilliant, brilliant people. And again, it's like you have that skill set to be able to like focus and do all that stuff, but I'm gonna go dance. I'm gonna
Yeah.
choreograph over here. So I am really happy and thankful that like I was able to do that, and it set me up in this way. It enabled me to, afford a yoga teacher training. It afforded me a tiny house and living off grid with my mother. It afforded
Yeah.
me the opportunity to see the Grand Canyon in every season. And to meet all kinds of people and to learn about humans in very different ways. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
I want to go to the Grand Canyon now.
Come on out. Uh,
Oh, it's so cool.
It
Um,
is. It really is. It
and in
is
all
impressive.
seasons, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Seeing
my gosh.
snow, seeing flowers bloom, seeing wildlife there, feeling the temperature differences from the bottom to the top of the rim. I
Yeah.
did finally visit the south rim of the canyon, which is the widest part. And so looking at that, I'm like, oh, it is bigger. Which, I mean, if you have any idea, like it.
It is big.
Who gets to say that? So, seeing where the Grand Canyon ends, that's where this part of the canyon is. So seeing the Grand Wash Hills, that's my
Yeah.
favorite part. And seeing them at sunset, you like, it just brings a tear to my eye. It's just so
Yeah.
beautiful. Yeah. So come on out. It's definitely worth
Just
it.
love that imagery of like plugging directly into
Yeah.
uh like nature and these giant monolithic things like the Grand Canyon and like a mountain.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I'm from a military family, so I've moved around a lot, and I don't call any one place home. Haven't in the past, or that I'm from, but primarily grew up on the East Coast, and
Hmm.
so similarly, you know, familiar with like mountain ranges of Virginia and North Carolina, and I always thought they were really cool. When we were taking summer trips to Tennessee and having to drive through the mountains, like it still made me nauseous. The trees were still taller than me. We're still like, going on these cliffs or what have you. And so I thought it was beautiful. And then to come out here, I've been out here long enough, and visited enough places where like I see, yes, the enormity of redwoods and of
Yeah.
mountain ranges and of these canyons. And I get that like this is new for me. You truly like forced into awe. Like there are
Yeah.
no words that we
Yeah.
have, at least in English, that can capture what we're seeing out here. Um, and so maybe I'll feel different, when I go
Yeah.
back east and finally take the same drive, and I'll be the way that a lot of these people out here are like, those aren't real mountains.
Those aren't
That's
so
not
big.
those aren't so big. Like that's not elevation. But
There's
there's like this changing of leaves, changing colors of leaves, and that's
yeah.
something that's not quite matched here either. So.
I mean, no, it all feels so really. I mean, especially like what you're saying about like compost and like these life cycles. It's all part of the same cloth.
So it's like I don't want to give too much away, but general framework of the show is that we have our cast of characters. We have our cast, and then one of our characters is Death. So Death is present throughout the entire
Yeah.
show, and with each act, he plays a slightly different role, or no,
Mm.
he has a slightly different. It has a slightly different relationship with each character, with each cast member. So
Mm.
like Death is there coming for us all, but
Yeah.
it how Death interacts with each of us is slightly different.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
definitely a theme that I want to portray. And the audience members might get a little bit spooked because we never know where Death is, but
Right. Yeah.
but that's life. It reminded me, one of our acts is No Regrets, and
Hmm.
it just reminded me like there's so many aspects that like our show is only 45 minutes only. And there's so many different ways to do this. There's so many
Yeah.
different themes to explore, and regrets versus no regrets. Like that could be its own show.
Yeah.
What would you regret? Or
Yeah.
for the infant that dies, what would, if there's consciousness there, what are the
Hmm.
regrets? What could those regrets be? Or, me as a 41-year-old woman, what are my regrets if I die tomorrow? Versus you,
Yeah.
someone living
Yeah.
in Philadelphia, what are your regrets?
Yeah.
Um, or at
Oh,
this point,
wow.
what don't you regret? Like, no, I'm good.
Right.
Let's go.
Are there any
Yes.
sort of last thoughts that you have, or about the show, or about anything we've talked about, or any things that you want the audience to know coming out to see the show?
I I want the audience to know, if you're thinking about coming to see the show, don't be scared. Um, yes, it's going to be a little heavy, and it's also going to be really beautiful and really cool. I don't know that it's gonna be that different, how different it'll be from any other show, that you'll see in the festival, because it's all art, we're all doing stuff that's weird. It's we've got an empty floor and some
Art.
lighting
You
cues
seen
to
one,
work.
you seen them all.
It's just but I want to believe that what we're
Hmm.
doing is special. Um, the cast is exploring these themes in their own ways, and that's all that I ask of each audience member, to see the show with an open mind, a little bit of an open heart, to see death, dying, the end of life in a slightly different way than when you walked in. Um, and that it's gonna be okay. We're all gonna die. That's the way it goes. Thank goodness.
If we had to do more of all this,
This is what I'm doing with my life. I
yeah,
hope you like it. We're all working really hard, and also we're really thankful because we are able to come on a grant um to do this. I would be
excellent.
remiss if I didn't mention that. Yeah, it's amazing that we are able to travel across the country. We're coming from different corners of the US to put on this show.
Oh,
So we're
wow.
doing a lot of virtual rehearsals and whatnot. And we are invading the town to do this show. We got 4 opportunities to see it, and we're all really grateful, really thankful, and just really proud to get to debut this show. Yeah.
Thank you again to Joi for speaking with me about your work. And thank you to you, our listeners, for listening. Death Circus runs September 19th through 21st at Icebox Project Space. Visit cannonballfestival.org for more information.